Those were ghosts who came to me seeking rebirth. Such spirits of the dead have committed suicide and are unable to take another birth for several centuries. Every night such ghosts come to me, so never be afraid. They won't harm you. But Arjun's health began steadily deteriorating after that incident with the two ghosts. It was a long time before he became well again. Gulmai again received a letter from Meher Baba saying that she should come to Pune. She went with Rustum, telling her husband and in-laws that they were going to visit Adi. Baba had instructed her to arrange Rustum's marriage, so an additional excuse was the pretext of looking for a young lady for Rustum to marry. In Pune, accompanied by Naja Baramji Irani, she would visit the homes of eligible Zoroastrian ladies and report back to Baba in the evenings. None of the girls was approved, however. Baba told her, "Continue looking, but it will be settled as planned by me," though he did not reveal how. That night Baba had Gulmai and Rustum sleep inside his hut, while he and other men slept outside. Before leaving, Gulmai was instructed to sew 8 white cotton pajama pants for him using Adi's measurements, and to bring them with her when he next called her. One day Rustum had an accident while driving his motorcycle. Afterward, in gratitude that no serious harm had been suffered, he walked the considerable distance from Ahmednagar to Sakori to meet Upasni Maharaj. During this period, true to Meher Baba's prediction, his father, Kekarushu, had been made a Khan Sahib. When Rustum related the news to Maharaj, he quipped, "Your father has become Khan Sahib, but you took a tumble. One went up, another came down. It's good that things happen that way." To visit Sakori with his sister Firoja. Maharaj would affectionately call him Ram, and his brother Adi Laxman. Meanwhile, Adi became romantically involved with Naja, Baramji Irani's daughter Freni. The young lady loved him and wished to marry him, but Gulmai soon found out about it and immediately informed Meher Baba. Soon after, Baba gathered Freni, her mother, Adi, and Gulmai at Sadashiv Patel's house in Pune. He told the young lady in a gentle manner, "Forget about Adi. He belongs to me. Even his mother has no claim on him. It will not be good for you to marry him. You would not be happy. But with my Nazar, you will marry a rich man and be very happy." Freni wept, but accepted the master's decision, and Adi was forbidden to think of marriage. Gulmai had explained to Naja B. Irani about Meher Baba and had urged the lady to talk openly with the master about her problems. She was skeptical, though, and said, "I have 1 or 2 things to discuss with him. If he gives me a satisfactory reply, I will believe in him and even sweep his hut." The fact that she was a wealthy woman made her promise even more significant because she never did such menial tasks. One day when Naja was leaving Gulmai at the hut, she approached Meher Baba and said, "I wish to go to Iran and perform certain Zoroastrian rituals. I also want to get my daughter married there. If this is fulfilled, I will serve you and sweep your hut every day." Meher Baba smilingly replied, "All right, your wishes will be fulfilled." Then he added jokingly, "But don't forget to come back and sweep my hut." Naja says, "I wish to serve you, just give me the chance." "To serve me is most difficult," Baba replied. "Continue to remember me, and this will be enough." But the lady was very persistent in her request, so he said, "After settling your daughter's marriage in Iran, come to me, and I will give you the opportunity of serving me." Naja was overjoyed, but her husband was bitterly against her going to Iran. She went against his wishes, performed the religious ceremonies there, and was also successful in getting her daughter married to a desirable man. But after returning from Iran, she did not go to see Meher Baba. Later, she began to suffer mental fits and became morose. She practically went mad with her fixations and remained in that condition for a period of 6 months. Doctors administered all kinds of treatments, but to no avail. Meher Baba was in Bombay at the time. Naja's daughter, Freni, remembering the promise her mother had given about sweeping his hut, wanted to take her to him. The mother, too, wished to see him, but was prevented from doing so by her relatives. Sadly, as a result of her inability to overcome her family's forbiddance, or because of her indifference to Meher Baba's advice, her mental disturbance persisted on and off for many years. While Merwan was coming down from the God state, it is said that more than once did he stay secluded in Upasni Maharaj's cave at the Bagorad mountain in the jungles outside Nasik, but there is no written record to substantiate the facts. During this period when he was established at the Japti hut in Pune as Meher Baba, a Sadguru, a perfect master, it is also claimed that again he went to that cave with Sahib and fasted there for 40 days and nights in seclusion. However, there is no written record of this either. It shows Meher Baba in the 20s. So why don't we finish right there? We'll pick it up on page 366. And that's where we finish tonight. Thank you for coming. Avata Meher Baba Ki Jai. Avata Meher Baba Ki Jai. Avata Meher Baba Ki Jai. Thank you. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
I was also chanting the name of Ram. Which have been concentrated purpose.
That's good.
What means Om Shanti?
Om is the eternal word of God. Shanti means peace.
You know, I said hi to my daughter.
Like you say shalom.
Oh, give birth to baby. And I said hi to you. I want to name the name Shanti. Beautiful name is French, like a French name.
Yes.
And God's name too. Isn't it so?
Oh, yes. Shanti.
It's also Swahili.
What's that?
It's also a Swahili name from Africa.
Jai Baba.
Beautiful name.
It is.
Huh? Shanti. I want to name
Shanti means
Shanti.
peace.
Shanti, peace. Yeah.
So it's got a root in about 5 different...
If boy or girl. If boy or girl is okay.
Shanti is a girl's name.
Oh, yeah.
I know a couple of
Boy
guys
will
named
be
Shanti.
Yeah, beautiful name.
Boy will be Shanta.
Shanta is woman's name. You know, we have Shanta here. French girl.
Chantal, but that's
With the
different.
L.
Oh,
With an L.
Shanta.
Yeah, she's with an L.
Well, Jai Baba, everybody.
Jai Baba.
It's September 11th, 1996. It's Lord Meher Wednesday at the Avatar Meher Baba Center, Southern California. Present are Gus and Kathy Williams, Rosalie Dunphy, Suhas Ram Gindi, Kennedy McIntosh, and myself, Fred Stankus. And Suhas, of course, is the son of Dr. Gindi, who administered to Meher Baba. In fact, was on his way to take care of Baba on January 31st, 1969. From Pune, was he coming?
Bombay
From Bombay and via Pune. Because Baba was gravely ill, and all the physicians that were associated with Baba were called. And of course, Baba dropped his body before Dr. Gindi arrived. Anyway.
It's incense. I'm burning incense in there.
So we're reading now from the biography of the Avatar of the Age, Meher Baba. We're in volume 2, which we began 2 weeks ago. And this is 1922 to 1925. This is by Baal Kulturi, our dear brother Baal, who I understand is, isn't he going to have that bag taken out in November 1st?
I don't know.
Or something like that. But, our prayers definitely with him. We're on page 366, and it's the title, The Agreement of Surrender. There's a picture of Rustam Behram and Jafar Abadi on a Baba's mandali on the right.
Who is this?
It was known as Baidu.
Baidu? Oh, yeah.
He became Baidu, yeah.
Isn't it funny? He looks like he's on target.
Wasn't he the must hunter?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's very tall and strong.
Baidu, yeah.
Jafar Abadi, yeah.
Did you meet him?
No. He had passed.
Anyway, we'll get into reading. I'll start off. During May 1922, Meher Baba arranged a grand celebration of Upasni Maharaja's birthday at Sikori. He told his mandali, all should be prepared to accompany me to Sikori on May 9th. We will celebrate Maharaja's birthday there, and afterwards we will march on foot to Bombay. The mandali had already been informed of the foot journey to Bombay and the proposed 1-year stay in the city. Meher Baba had made it explicit that each man would have to divest himself of all worldly responsibilities before joining him. He had warned them there might be danger in accompanying him, stressing the possibility of being arrested and jailed. See, at the time there was much political unrest and agitation in India, and the group might be mistaken for a group of anarchists. Mahatma Gandhi had been sentenced to 6 years imprisonment for civil disobedience during 1921. and the British authorities were determined to prevent anarchy by arresting anyone who was suspected of being a revolutionary. So many...
Nashua Mamo must have been arrested then. Irritated uncle,
Uh-huh.
because he was with Gandhi. And maybe he said I think he was in jail like 3 or 4 or 5 times maybe. That's where he learned to be a homeopathic doctor. Yeah, Dr. Gandhi gave him the manual and he studied in jail.
That's good.
Creative jailing, I'd call it.
Well, this looked like the gathering of the first men. It said, many men agreed to join Meher Baba. Even those whom the master discouraged were obstinate in their resolve to join him. It was decided that after their return from Sikori, each man would sign an agreement of surrender to Meher Baba, thereby formalizing his promise to stay with the master and obey him. During this period, a farmer who had migrated to India from Iran discovered his place in Meher Baba's circle. Rustum Behram Jafrabadi, or as we know as Baidul, was employed at a tea shop opposite Char Badi, where Babajan, after a cup of tea. A most daring man, Jafrabadi, had come to India several years before from Iran in search of gurus and saints. A fellow Persian in the tea shop and told him about Meher Baba. Jafrabadi was greatly taken by Behramji's comments, and soon after went to Sadashiv's house to meet the Irani master. Without introducing himself...
Is this Baba's brother, Behramji? That's the other.
Right. Behramji, Baba's brother. Okay. Without introducing himself, Jafrabadi paid obeisance to Adi K. Irani, mistakenly believing him to be the master. Adi was taken aback, while the other men burst out laughing at his mistake. After a short while, Meher Baba entered the room and enjoyed the humor of the incident. He calmed Jafrabadi and later talked with him at length. Can you imagine? Baba knows this brother, this man, is going to be one of his close ones. But even on the first meeting with Baba.
But he was pure Iranian. His last name and first name, pure Iranian.
It's pure Iranian. But Baba, can you sense this? What a magic moment!
Can you believe it?
Baba probably made this guy feel so much at home, because he walked in the room and Baba already was in good humor.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're in good humor and you're a stranger, supposedly, you're not a stranger anymore.
Right.
Because there's a feeling of already acceptance, So you can just get the feeling, wow, it must have been wonderful.
Oh my God.
It's interesting that his pen name almost sounded like humor. Huma,
Yeah, it says he calmed Jafrabadi and later talked with him at length. Meher Baba explained to Jafrabadi, I am soon leaving for Bombay. If you come with me, I will get you a better job and also see to your spiritual advancement. To the surprise of all, Jafrabadi was immediately resigned to sell his property and join the master.
See, he loved it.
Oh my. He was shown all the conditions to be followed while in Bombay, and he agreed to sign the paper then and there. Wow. Instant signing. Thus, this seeker of truth was trapped in the net by the bait of material improvement and spiritual advancement. It is said that he was a giant of a man, the one later nicknamed Baidul. The afternoon of May 9th was joyous as the excited men gathered at Sadashiv's Patel's house prior to their trip with Meher Baba to Sikori. Everyone was in a happy mood while Baba sang several songs and played the dholak. Ramju, however, was suffering from a high fever and was somewhat delirious. Baba made him come despite his condition. He was ordered to lie down, and Baba covered him with a blanket. Before departing, he helped Ramju sit up and gave him a glass of water. He then sent him to the railway station in Tonga with Bailey, while he and the rest of the men walked there. The group of men and women disciples was a very diverse and consisted of Iranis, Parsis, Muslims, and Hindus. At 4:30 in the afternoon, they left for Sikori by train. Also on the train were devotees of Upasni Maharaj from Bombay. Some had seen Meher Baba in Sikori, and a few were seeing him for the first time. Jai Baba, Esther. Several were greatly attracted to him and later became some of his most important and devoted disciples. Chief among these was a Zoroastrian man, a jeweler named Kairush.
Kushru.
What is it? Kushru Masa Behram Irani, another Behram. His wife.
A good face.
Yeah, there's a picture of him. His wife Suna and their 12-year-old daughter Khorshid. Oh, look at Khorshid. Look at when Khorshid was a little baby. She's so cute.
It's our Khorshid?
Yeah.
Looks like
Here.
Oh, this one.
That looks like her.
Looks like Khorshid.
It looks like her. She was 12 years old in that photo.
You're kidding. She looks so...
Yeah, she was
She
looking.
was already singing to Baba.
Oh, really?
Yes. And
You want to see it? No, later.
Kaikrushu.
Khorshid.
Huh?
Khorshid.
Kushru.
Kai Krushru Masa was a frequent visitor to Sikori, and it was he, my K. Irani, about Upasni Maharaj. He was instrumental in bringing Gulmai and her whole family into Maharaj's contact, and subsequently Meher Baba's. Kai Krushru Masa had seen Meher Baba at Sikori, but this meeting on the train was his wife's and daughter's first encounter with the master, to whom they would soon dedicate their lives.
That's Sunamasi, they called her then. Oh, that's Sunamasi.
Sunamasi, was she one of the first women then?
Yeah, because...
And her daughter was basically Khorshid introduced, heir to her mother per se, or took over where her mother left off, or was a young follower.
Dale says that Khorshid is Mira's shadow.
Really?
She plays the role of the shadow, just like Ustaji played Baba's shadow. Yeah, that's a special role.
Mas.
Yeah, Masa.
Sunamasi.
Yeah,
Oh,
Masa
auntie.
Auntie, yeah, there was...
Is that her aunt? Or that's not her mother then, huh? No, their daughter.
Also on the train was another Zoroastrian couple, 30-year-old Naval Khurshid Talati and his 18-year-old fiancée, Dinah Karani.
Oh, Dinah's reincarnated.
Naval had first met Sai Baba
Where are
in
you?
Shirdi.
I lost my place.
I'm in the middle of 369.
Oh, okay. That's funny.
Naval had first met Sai Baba at Shirdi in 1914 and had encountered Merwan at Sikori many times. Naval, however, had taken him to be insane and used to refer to him as that mad Irani. For he had once seen Merwan roll on the ground in front of Upasni Maharaj's hut. Oh my God.
Wow.
Meher Baba was accompanied by his mother Shireen, Jamshed's wife Khorshid, Gustaji, and Arjun Supakar. In the same compartment were those very people from Bombay who took every opportunity to glance at him. In their words, to see his loveliness. At every station stop, Baba would casually get down and, throwing a rubber ball back and forth, play catch with some of the men. As the train would start, he would agilely leap on board. So you can see Baba just move. Reaching the village of Chitali, Meher Baba sent Ramju with Kaikarushu Masa in a tonga to Sikori, while he and the others walked. Gulmai K. Irani, her son Adi, and her nephew Sarosh had already arrived. Also gathered were the Irani sisters, Daulat and Frani, along with many others. Upasni Maharaj's birthday was to be celebrated on a tremendous scale with a 4-day program, and a great feast was to be served to several hundred people. Soon after arriving, the disciples of Meher Baba went for Upasni Maharaj's darshan. Each one garlanded the Sadguru, and he in turn gave each a champa flower to eat as prasad. Does anyone know what champa flower is?
A lotus type of...
A lotus. And they ate.
Champa is the flat bread, flat rice bread.
No,
Champa.
it's like a jasmine type
It's a flower. It's a flower. They take actual flour to
like
eat.
a jasmine type of flower. Smells...
Oh, it must be free. The birthday celebration lasted for 4 days, but the main day of celebration was on Sunday, May 14th, at 6 in the evening. A dais had been erected at the threshold of Upasni Maharaj's hut, where he was requested to sit, but he refused to do so, exclaiming, "Oh no, I am not the type to sit on silken cushions." Okay, you want to take over? Can you go to the top? There's a picture of Upasni sitting in this chair. Yeah.
Then, with much resistance, his gunny sack was removed and he was dressed in new clothes. Oh, okay. Meher Baba and Adi's father, however, persuaded him to do so. Then, with much resistance, his gunny sack was removed and he was dressed in new clothes. A pink turban was placed on his head, a white dhoti was wrapped around his waist, and Meher Baba then persuaded Maharaj to put on new sandals on his usually bare feet. Sandalwood paste and vermilion were applied to his forehead, and then Maharaj was garlanded profusely. Afterward, his puja and artis with all the Zoroastrians participating. Goldmai was instructed by Meher Baba to wave the arti tray in front of Maharaj. This was followed by devotional music and bhajan songs. Afterward, a huge photograph of Maharaj was displayed in a palanquin and taken through Sakori village in a grand procession, accompanied by bhajans and a band. Goldmai, however, did not join the procession. Frequently, Meher Baba emphasized to her, "Do only what I tell you to do here, and do exactly as I tell you to do." This was irksome to her because she felt he was saying it in an attempt to break her away from Maharaj, whom she loved deeply. After the procession left, she sat alone weeping under a tree, depressed and confused over what she mistook to be rivalry in the Guru's darbar court. Soon Maharaj approached and sat beside her. Goldmai told him what Meher Baba had said, and he exclaimed, "Difficulties have to be faced in every noble endeavor. God has two wives, one on this side, another on that side. One wife faces difficulties bravely and goes on. The other creates difficulties and always complains. We must go forward, facing any and all opposition. Difficulties will always be there. We must bear suffering patiently and do our duty without caring about anything else." The return of the palanquin was welcomed with flowers and coconuts. The photograph of Maharaj was placed on the couch Goldmai had bought from Ahmednagar, which was decorated with cushions and silk sheets. The feast was served to all the guests by Maharaj himself. Later, a feeding of many poor people was also held. During these 4 days, Upasni Maharaj and Meher Baba would sit together discussing plans for future work, including the construction of a new temple. One day, Maharaj came into Meher Baba's room when he was absent. Adi's sitar was lying there. Maharaj picked it up and tried to play. Like a child, he moved his hand slowly up and down the strings. When Baba, Adi, and others entered the room and began to watch him, Maharaj asked, "What is this thing? How do you play it?" Then he handed the sitar to Adi, saying, "Take this thing. I don't know anything about such things," and started playing the sitar, while Meher Baba sang this song to Maharaj. Catrice? Yeah, what is that?
Catrice Daria Banaya Irun.
You want to translate it?
Well, it says the saint created the ocean out of a particle of water.
The saint created the ocean out of a particle of water.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Okay. It's right under there.
Daria is ocean. Banaya is to do.
There's Dinah.
Yeah, Dinah.
Dinah Delaney.
Yeah, these people are certainly at such a level of consciousness.
And this also, the sitar was the one that Adi gave to Mani. You know, like Donald.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what she learned to play on. Adi sitar.
Show me where you ended.
Okay.
Okay. You want me to get closer to the mic?
That's fine.
Get to the light.
That's fine. Thank you. That's great.
That's a security device. Okay.
No.
During this occasion, Upasni Maharaj spent many hours with Meher Baba's disciples and discoursed on spiritual matters. In the course of his talks, he remarked about Meher Baba's spiritual stature. "All of you pay heed to what I tell you. Merwan is the avatar. I have handed the key of whatever I possess to Merwan. Now hold on to his feet, not only with one hand, but with both hands. This is my advice to you. You would do well to follow it. Merwan will make the whole world dance on his little finger. You yourselves will see even people from the Western world come for his darshan and blessing. By the grace of God, if you follow my advice, you will certainly reach the goal. Before everyone performed the engagement ceremony of Naval, Talati, and Dinah. The wedding rings, or Dina, the wedding rings were placed before Maharaj, who called Gulmai to put the ring on Dina's finger since no one from Naval's family was present. As Gulmai was about to do so, Rupamai, Dina's mother, interrupted and requested Maharaj to place the ring on her daughter's hand. Smiling, he acquiesced. Naval then asked Maharaj the date they should marry, and was told, "Consult Merwan and do exactly as he instructs." Because of Maharaj's emphatic order, and because of the profound remarks he had given about Merwan, Naval's doubts disappeared, and he bowed at Merwan's feet and sought his blessing as Meher Baba, the merciful one. The quote, mad Irani, unquote, became Naval's guru, and he obeyed Meher Baba in every facet for the rest of his life. Before leaving for Bombay, Suna and her daughter Khorshid met with Baba in private. He inquired how she liked it at Sakori, and Suna replied that she liked it very much. "Will you come and stay with me?" he asked. "When?" asked Suna. "Not now, but later after I have arranged a place. I only wanted to know if you would." "Surely. Promise me," he said, and Suna held out her hand in promise. Khorshid was keenly interested in their conversation and thought, "Why is Meher Baba only asking my mother? He must ask me to come and stay with him too." However, he only remarked to Khorshid, "Be good, think of me and we will meet again." Baba was deliberately ignoring her in order that Khorshid would become more eager to join him. I'm looking at that picture while I'm reading. Okay. Meher Baba and Gustaji remained in Sakori after the celebration, while the other men and women had returned to Pune on May 15th. After 5 days of private meetings, Meher Baba and Gustaji bowed to Upasni Maharaj before all of the Sadguru's disciples. Gazing at them as they left by Tonga for the train station, someone inquired how long it would be before Merwan returned. Silently, Maharaj wept. They arrived in Pune the same evening of May 20th, and Meher Baba was anxious to finalize plans for the upcoming journey. Only 2 days were left before the planned foot journey to Bombay on May 22nd. Munshi Rahim was meanwhile searching for a suitable bungalow to lease in the Andheri district of Bombay, while Baba was preoccupied with reviewing the men's commitment and taking the signatures of surrender from those who were to go with him. The activity around the hut on Ferguson Road and at Kasbah Peth was intense. Bayramji was busy selling his liquor stores and toddy shops, including the shop in which he was in partnership with Merwan, to raise enough money to support Meher Baba and the other men in Bombay. Each man in his own way was in his final unknotting of family or business entanglements, freeing himself to start life anew with the master in Bombay. Meher Baba...
To think of that. What tide you have to, whoa. Like an explosion.
Meher Baba entered the thatched hut for the last time at 10:30 Sunday night, May 21st. This humble straw hut on an earthen floor had become sacred. It had been the first lamp to attract moths to Meher Baba's burning glow. The Jopti had become a place of pilgrimage in the city of Pune, where many persons had gathered to receive guidance and mercy from the Compassionate One. It was the cradle containing the infancy of Meher Baba's divine work, and many seekers had been gently swung in it, as they had died to the world and been reborn at the Merciful One's feet. Yes. Second paragraph. Yes.
Yeah. Each man went inside the Hakdi and bowed to Gustaji's photograph for the last time. After which it was taken down and hut dismantled. Baba, what?
What does Japti mean? Do you know?
He is a thatched hut.
Oh, okay, because they call it where Baba
He is a hut.
when it's
Japti.
little hut.
Oh,
That's
wow.
where Baba began to
Yeah.
silence, remember? He went
How do you
and
pronounce it?
speaking.
Japti?
J-H-O-P-T.
Jopti.
Zolfi.
Jopti.
Zolfi means a hut.
Mm.
This was meant to be called with a capital J.
Mm.
Okay. Okay. Each man went inside the Japti and bowed to Gustaji's photograph for the last time, after which it was taken down and hot to smell. Baba then led the way to Sadhavi Patel's house in Kasba Pet, where arrangements were in progress for the departure of Bombay to Bombay. Each man's bedding, roll, and personal kit were placed in a bullock cart. As the world slept, the young disciples of Meher Baba were wide awake, excited and eager to begin their wayfaring.
Wait a minute, this bowed to Gustaji's photograph, they're bowing to Baba's shadow. Is that what they- Yeah, it's interesting.
Why can't Until then, strict obedience to Meher Baba had not been emphasized. The Merciful One had been attracting these raw, new disciples around him, drawing them near to his fire. God is all merciful, but the path to God is merciless. The Master has not yet shown what the path of fire could be. He was about to become merciless to shower his real gift. The disciples did not know that the ego, the mind, was to face the beginning of being consumed. Realization is a process of burning. It's a price itself, and no one can pay it without the Master's grace. If it is paid, if one burns, it is without pity and mercy. Master's compassion would reveal the flames of his love, thus preparing each disciple to pay the price little by little. Beginning that the very night, an incident occurred which forced Meher Baba to emphasize this aspect of strict obedience in living with him, whereby the Mandali were made keenly aware of their responsibility towards him as their master. The first lesson came shortly before they left Pune. Meher Baba decided to call for refreshments for all and sent Ghani, Adi, and Slamson to bring tea, bread, and cream from a nearby hotel. When they placed the order, Adi started feeling hungry and was wondering if it would be all right to eat his share. Then, seeking Ghani's advice because he was an elder, Adi was told it would be all right. However, his snack made them late in returning with the refreshments. When asked the reason, Adi admitted that he had eaten in a restaurant. That's your brother David. And Meher Baba was extremely displeased. Adi explained that he suddenly felt hungry and asked Ghani if it would be permissible. Baba turned to Ghani and asked him if it was true. Ghani denied it. Angry at this, Baba then slapped Adi across the face. Baba,
Wait a minute, who
did that?
Who lied?
Baba slapped who?
He slapped
Baba turned to Ghani and asked him if it was true. Ghani denied it. Angry at this lie, Baba then slapped Adi across the face.
Slapped Adi.
Yeah, Adi.
Ghani said...
No, denied it.
He denied.
Ghani denied it. And then Adi was slapped.
Yeah, but actually he had
It was something about getting permission to eat earlier or something like that.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean?
What happened?
Adi was told it would be all right, so he,
Oh.
And somebody says okay, but somebody denied it, and that was a lie. You know.
well, he got the best of the deal
Why'd you
anyway. He
listen?
got hit by Baba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on,
so
Baba, come on.
So Ghani missed out. Yeah.
Okay. Baba became irritated at all three men and told them to get out of his sight and never come back. They were shocked and started to walk off, but he called them back and demanded, "Never again, and unmindful of what I wish, learn what I want and what I don't want." The rest of the men were taken aback by the sudden change. From now on, in living with me, you must take care at every moment to please me. Although there was no order by me not to eat outside, Adi should have known that this was not the proper time or place to satisfy himself when I was waiting for their return. This strict attitude created a new sense of tension for all the men, as the days of being serious and dutiful to every word of Meher Baba began. Leaving Kasba Pat at 2 in the morning, led by the master, all walked out to Char Baudi to see Baba Jan. While Baba and Bailey stood at the distance, the rest of the men approached the ancient holy woman and bowed before her. Meher Baba nodded farewell. They then started walking the road to Bombay. The number of men accompanying Meher Baba totaled 45. 22 were Hindus, 12 were Muslims, and 11 were Zoroastrians. Apsani Maharaj then had sent Yeshwant Rao from Sakori to join the group on his journey, what they call a pilgrimage. They walked in rows of 4 abreast. Meher Baba ordered Gustaji to make certain everyone kept in line. Gustaji had to walk back and forth telling the men to stay in line, and consequently, he tired more quickly. The Ramji had been overworked for some days and was exhausted. He would actually fall asleep while walking. Every now and then the sitar was carrying would slip and fall to the ground. Gustaji would reprimand him, but the Raji would succumb to fatigue again. After 4 hours, they arrived at Chinchwad village. Arjun's supercar had arranged for them to stay in a bungalow opposite the railway station. Everyone was glad to rest, and Baba served tea and biscuits to all. After a short rest, they again started to walk, but Sadashiv and some of the older men were exhausted. Baba did not wish to hear their complaints, so they were sent ahead to Talagon by train. By 2 in the afternoon, they reached Kind village. By 2 in the afternoon, they reached Kind village. Meher Baba, Sarosh, and Ramju led the way, and when they reached the outskirts of Talagon village, they stopped under the shade of a tree. Within an hour, the men gradually streamed in. Everyone was exhausted and their feet were sore. Gani had a fever and was personally given a large dose of quinine by Baba. Everyone had a restful sleep under the tree, but without any breakfast, they resumed walking at 5 in the morning. They walked continuously for 4 hours, arriving at Kamshet village at 9 o'clock. Abdul Tayyab arrived in a car from Lanovla with bread and butter and jam. Abdul prepared tea and all enjoyed breakfast in a Dharamshala near the Dharamshala, near the railway station. Okay. And near the railway station, there they stretched it for the day under the shade of the small grove. The next day, they again began the journey at 5 in the morning. May is the hottest month in India. So to prevent sunstroke, they had to walk during the early hours. It is remembered to have been an enchanting journey past the beautiful hills during twilight times. However, that day, Baba twisted his ankle severely, and it became swollen and inflamed. Despite the pain, he was still walking fast. The men wanted him to rest, but he refused. 3 hours later, they arrived in Lanovla. Tea was brought from the town while they took a short rest. Refreshed, they reached Kandala in an hour. Kandala is a famous summer resort because of its cool, pleasant climate. Sayed Jamadar had arranged for their stay in a shady grove beside a lake near a beautiful Hindu temple. Jamadar brought cooking utensils from the town, masaji called dansak, which was heartily enjoyed by all. This was the first solid meal the men had eaten since leaving Pune 3 days before. As a youth, Baba had spent many vacations hiking through these hills, and he liked this one spot and decided they should stay until the next afternoon. After a game of gilly danda in the evening, all ate supper and retired. Everyone was awakened by 7. Some had blisters on their feet and had difficulty walking in leather shoes. Baba was aware of this and sent Betty to Bombay to purchase canvas tennis shoes, which were given to those who suffered with blisters. At 5 in the afternoon, they proceeded to the village of Kopoli. After walking a mile, they ascended the Bor Ghat of Kandala's mountain. From there, the descent to Bombay became and the lone bullock cart, which had been trailing with the luggage. We took the lead. The gradient was steep, and the bullock nearly rumbled down with the cart while the men alongside it, scrambling to keep it under control. The cart had been fixed with boards on its wheel and act as brakes. However, the idea Phil and the men had more difficulty slowing the cart's wheels with their hands. You want to continue there?
After walking some distance, Jamadar and Chowdhury were reported missing. Baba was quite upset by this news. A search was made for the 2 men, but the 2 men were not found. After reaching Kopoli, the 2 lost companions arrived. They had taken a shortcut. Can you imagine? It sounds like they needed a shortcut. My God. Wow. They had taken a shortcut, and Baba angrily scolded them for disobeying orders and threatened to send them back home. They begged his forgiveness for separating from the group and realized that the few miles they had saved were not worth Baba's reproof and spoiled mood. Ghani's friend, Abdul Rizak, arrived with refreshments. Ghani suggested halting in a more comfortable setting at Rizak's home in Kopoli. But Baba chose to rest outside the village by a mountain brook. It being Thursday, the traditional Hindu day of worshipping the Guru, Upasni Maharaj's arti was sung, and afterward all had tea and mangoes which Rizak had brought. Wow. At 9 in the evening, they proceeded toward the village of Chak, carrying kerosene lanterns to light the way. Nervous's feet sorely ached, but he still tried to keep pace with the group. His pathetic stride resembled a hopping dance. This humored Baba, and out of pity, he told Nervous to ride in the bullock cart with a few of the others whose feet were severely split with blisters. After walking 20 miles at a rapid pace through twilight and moonlight, they arrived at the village of Chak at 2 in the morning. Finding a group of strangers arriving at such an odd hour, the villagers suspected them to be a gang of thieves. But after a cordial interview, the villagers' fears were quieted, and they offered to guide the group to a more pleasant rest area a few miles away. The men were so tired, however, that they did not wish to proceed another step. They pleaded with Baba to let them lie down and sleep in their bedrolls alongside the road. However, he ordered them to follow him and, in the darkness, walked to an area. When they awakened late in the morning, the sun was already hot. They were pleasantly surprised at what a beautiful place Baba had chosen. It was shaded by very large trees, with a well conveniently nearby. After a relaxing afternoon repose, they started at 4 o'clock for Pandel. Before sunset, they had covered a long distance. Oh, it gives the names of the 45 men who walked with Meher Baba on the journey. Abdur Rehman, Adi Rani, 19 years old.
So Abdul was 19 also.
Oh. Ahmed Abbas, 29. Asar Sahib. Arjun Supakar, 27. Babu Rao Cyclewala, 22. Daly, 27. Bal Tambat Baramji, 30. Chowdhury, Feridun driver, 19.
It's Padre.
Yeah.
19.
19. Gangaram, Gani Munsaf, 28. Gustaji, 32. Jadav, Jamadar, Brother Jal, 20. Uncle Rustam, Masaji, 55.
He was on that walk? Wow. That's a long walk.
That's great. It's 119 miles.
Oh my God! And then going through the Ghat.
120 miles.
But the Ghat must have been this
Bombay.
terrible to climb the Ghat.
They're going from here to San Diego. Walk.
Up a hill though.
Yeah.
Up a heck of a mountain.
Climbing over Arrowhead.
That woman from San Diego here.
Right.
But in India, it's so hot.
In
Yeah.
the heat, 100 degrees plus.
Yeah.
I can't believe a 55-year-old.
They mostly walked in the evening and in the early mornings.
He's in that beautiful picture, this,
He
think
might
this is the
have
one,
been on the
Masaji.
bullock cart.
where Baba's holding his hand.
Masaji.
Masaji,
Masaji
yeah.
was his uncle. Masa means uncle.
Was
Paternal
Baba's
uncle?
uncle?
Yeah.
From what family?
He was in a previous section.
Okay, that's all right. Anyway, then go ahead.
Kondiram, Madho, Kodadad, nervous. Ramju Abdullah, 20.
Is that Ramju Diaries?
Yes. Ramju Abdul,
He died, Ramji Abdullah.
24.
I know that, a young time.
68.
Oh, yeah?
Dar, Saeed Sahib, Vital, Slamson, Hansotia, and Yeshwant Rao, disciple of Upasni Maharaj.
Gave him that coat, that black coat was given to Baba by Yeshwant Rao.
So Kamali?
Kamli coat that's in the museum. we
This
talked
one, how about
about
this
last
one?
week.
Is that this one?
Was
No,
Yashawan gave that?
Yeshwant Rao.
This
was-
coat.
This
Yes.
coat.
Is that the one?
not
you-
that.
Yeah, it's
no,
banana.
That's a
that's
fur
not the
coat.
Kamli.
That's a fur
It's a
coat.
black
No, the
Kamli
Kamli is-
coat that was given to Baba when he left Sapuri for the last time. That's in the museum.
Yeah, that's the coat that
One he
was
had
so
patched
patched.
many times. It has spiritual connection with India, says Baba, and it should never leave the country.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeshwant Rao was one of Upasni Maharaj's inner
So, but
circle.
the coat came from Upasni.
From Yeshwant Rao as a gift to Baba when he left Sapuri to come to Pune.
Upasni didn't coax Yashwan
No.
to give it to Baba. Wow, he just gave it.
They should take care of Baba, Yeshwant Rao, and they were assigned to take care of him, like we roll in the ponds
Yes, yes.
under the drum.
After a relaxing afternoon repose, they started at 4 o'clock for Pandal. Before sunset, they had covered a long distance and continued without stoppings as darkness fell. Nearing the village, Baba pointed out a fire on top of the mountain. It was a beautiful sight under the starry sky. Arriving at Panvel, or at about 9 in the evening, they rested in a dharmashala and immediately went to bed. Before sleeping, Baba cautioned them to beware of scorpions and not to move in the dark without carrying a lantern. Feridun got up in the night to urinate but forgot to take a lantern. As he was lying down in his bedroll, He remembered his mistake and was relieved that no scorpion had stung him. But in the morning, while changing his shirt, a scorpion stung him on the back.
Wow.
That day was a nightmare of physical suffering for him.
That's Padre.
What are you doing, your part?
He was called Padre because he resembled a priest, like a Christian with Padre.
Because of his size.
Height.
Oh, yeah.
We call them Padre, like father.
Father,
Padre was an offshoot of Padre, so it comes in the book.
The master surprised all by announcing, "Now that we have reached Panvel, where the sea meets the land, our pilgrimage on foot is over. We have reached the limit of our journey by foot. We will now proceed to Bombay in a truck." Oh, they must have been happy about that. After lunch, a large truck was hired, which they rode in toward Bombay. In a restaurant at Mumbai, Baba ordered tea and sweet cakes for the men. He was in a good mood and even allowed some to have soft drinks, and also gave cigarettes to Ahmed Abbas and Asar Sahib, who were heavy smokers. The truck reached Bombay at 4 in-the-afternoon. The master had it stopped by the tomb of a Mohammedan saint named Chaman Baba.
Chaman.
No, it's not Chai.
I know.
Chaman.
Cha.
He stood by the truck and instructed each man to go inside the tomb and pay his respects. When they returned, they found Meher Baba lying prone on the roadside in Sashatang Pranam, bowing full length on the ground in the direction of the tomb. The group walked from the saint's tomb to Munshi Rahim's house on Charni Road, where they were to stay until a suitable bungalow was found. As soon as they arrived, Baba took a bath and changed his clothes, ordering everyone to do the same. Despite the hardships along the journey and with the difficulties of leading a diverse group of men of various religions and castes, the master proclaimed the pilgrimage a success. The song of God can only be sung when one is merged in the infinite. To learn this melody, every worldly thought must be consigned to the sacred flames of divine love. With the echo of the song on their lips, the beginning had been made as the Mandali saw the fire of God's love burning intensely in Meher Baba's flesh.
Wow.
Okay. You want to go in?
Manzali.
Okay, but now we start another chapter.
Yes.
Manzile mean, which means the house of the master, the master's house. The Muslim feast of Eid, the birthday of Muhammad the Prophet, fell on May 29th, and Munshi Rahim had erected a large canopy outside his house to hold a celebration. Munshi arranged for an imam, an Islamic priest, to offer the prayers. There's a photograph of young Baba.
Oh, that's Jesus.
He was 28 years old at the time. Here Baba awakened all the men at 4 a.m. Phonograph records of verses from the Quran were played. After a bath and change of clothes, Baba's Muslim followers gathered under the canopy for the namaz ceremony where he sat with them. Why he sat with them? Outsiders from the local Mohammedan community were invited, and the place resembled an idgah, sanctioned holy ground where prayers are performed. It was ironic that the one to whom all the prayers were offered was physically present, unbeknown to the strangers. On the completion of the ceremony, all saluted Meher Baba in a reverent manner. and spicy vegetarian food cooked by Syed Sahib was served. Baba was in a splendid mood, and the rest of the day was passed in cheerfulness, relaxation, and games. The following day, an intense search for a suitable bungalow for Baba and the men was begun. On the fourth day, a large bungalow which Baba approved was found in the Dadar district of the city at 167 Main Road, opposite the GIP railway station. It took 2 more days to settle the terms of rent with the landlord, a Muslim named Haji Abdul Rahman. The bungalow was rented in Bairamji's name for the amount of 350 rupees per year. A year. So that's 30 rupees a month.
$3,000 for $100. How much would that be?
That's about,
At that time, it was 5 rupees to
One
a
rupee a
dollar.
day.
5 rupees to a dollar, so,
So
that
it was about
been
$7 a month
$7 a month.
in
Boy, that's,
1922.
Times are pretty tough then.
One rupee a day.
Later, the carpentry work of partitioning the house into different rooms began under Slamson's supervision. 2 large halls and 13 smaller bedrooms, 8 feet square, were partitioned with whitewashed gunny cloth stretched on wooden frames. A large room on the north side, leading to the upper floor, was turned into a kitchen. On the second floor, a small room was given to Gustadji alone, while Sadashiv and Bairamji shared a room. Then a large meeting hall was apportioned. Baba occupied a small room by himself on the upper floor.
He was by himself.
Always was. The bungalow was located in a clean neighborhood and was well ventilated with a large veranda, a porch. It had a small compound in the front and a large backyard. Another kitchen and toilets were located outside to the north, and a small watchman's hut stood to the south. After the interior renovation was completed, Baba and the men moved in on June 7th. They met in the large hall, and the first topic of discussion was what to name the place. Different names were suggested, but Meher Baba decided it should be called Manzil-e-Meem, the house of the master. Manzil means house. Meem is master. That evening, he requested a music program of Qawwali singing and invited many of the neighborhood Muslims to his new formal abode.
Oh, look at it.
And there's a picture on the other page. Typical manzil or bungalow in India during 1920s. This particular building was used by Meher Baba.
You know, they still stand.
Old building?
These buildings still stand like
probably
Which
this.
city?
there.
Which city is that?
This is Bombay. But I have seen buildings like
Okay,
this
in front
Pune.
of that place is a movie, cinema.
I don't know.
I think so. We went there.
This was Dada.
Dadar,
Dar,
it's
dar,
not-
dar.
This
Yeah,
thing,
we went there.
45
Dadar.
men are going to be in
Dadar
this
is a
place.
Persian name, isn't it? What does it
You
mean?
think it looks big?
Agar,
It's
agar,
another
agar.
name for the Lord.
Darda, no, it's the
Agar, agar.
it's a Zoroastrian.
Strength?
Zoroastrian. Zoroastrian.
That's what it
Yeah.
means?
Gar.
And, I was born not far from the Manzil,
In
later
front
the
of it,
40s.
we last year we find it and
Still
then
there?
in front of it's a big cinema. All the people were there. They told us in front of cinema.
Oh, yeah,
So
I know.
you lived on the street near this...
I lived on a main street that goes through Dadar.
It's a big street, main
so
street.
you were on a busy street.
Dr. Which way is it near there? It used to be Vincent Road, the street I was named on.
Where
It's
is
a
it?
main street.
It's
What did
Dr.
you say, Esther?
Dr. Ambedkar Road is where the street on which my house is where I was born. And the railway station was maybe about 2 or 3 blocks, one or the other.
Yeah, you can almost walk it.
We went by taxi. Me and
But
I
this
did.
was, I'm talking about, I was born 20 years later, but then when I was born, he was in Kashmir at that time. During World War II time. After that. Okay. Continuing now, 2 days prior to moving into the new bungalow, Mayor Baba had Ghani prepare a list of 7 orders which every man was given to sign. They were to begin following them on the day they moved into Manzil-e-Mim. These 7 orders, as dictated by Mayor Baba, were: number 1, to follow to the letter the spiritual instructions given by me. Number 2, to keep or break the special connection with one other man or more than one from the group or otherwise that I order. To keep or break the special connection with one other man or more than one from the group. That means that they were friends before they're to break that connection.
Wow.
To totally abstain for 12 months from alcoholic drinks or intoxicating substances, as well as sexual intercourse, except when allowed by me with your wife.
Okay.
To eat, number 4, to eat, drink, and dress in accordance with the other residents in the house. To avoid eating fish, meat, and eggs under any circumstances.
Oh, strict vegetarian.
Baba didn't eat meat or fish.
Baba ate? Yeah, in the...
Well, he may have in the West.
No, here by Agnes. Agnes said Baba
Well,
ate
in Mara, I mean in the West, when he came, but not in the
to
West.
chicken leg.
Oh, I ate that pomfret.
Yeah,
But he didn't eat very
it was a
much.
different time.
Well, whatever. He didn't
Yeah.
eat very much.
To be present in, number 5, to be present in the premises from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.,
Wow.
barring accidents or mishaps.
Oh, so they can go out and work then.
They have to in the daytime, but from 7 in the evening to 7 in the morning, they had to be in the house.
No excuses.
Barring accidents or mishaps.
Mishaps.
If they got into an accident on the way home, they were executed. Number 6, to faithfully perform the external duty given to each. Going out to get jobs or whatever. Number 7, under no circumstances to give up my company, even if one finds that the whole world turned against me, except when ordered to leave me.
Wow.
Note, if any of the above 7 orders is intentionally broken by anyone who binds himself to my orders, I shall lock myself up in my room, avoiding completely all food, drink, and company.
No, what's amazing is Baba is taking this on himself. If the orders are violated, he's the one that
he was
is
lucky
going
himself.
to suffer.
He will prevent themselves
I
from
know,
his
I know.
company and will not eat or drink. A few of the men, including his brother Jal, pricked their thumbs by Baba's order and pressed the blood into their palm, thereby taking a vow to obey all the above orders and end of their lives. It's like a blood oath.
Blood brother.
Order number 2 can be understood by taking Adi K. Rani's relationship with Gustaji's brother Slamson as an example. It was to keep or break the special connection with one other man, or more than one from the group. In Pune, months before this rule was made for all, Adi was ordered not to have any association with Slamson. When they arrived in Bombay, Adi was also ordered to keep aloof from Asar Sahib as well. This meant that Adi could not point at Asar, talk with him, or even accidentally look at him, unless Baba ordered him to do so.
My God, did Assam know this? He must have known this.
Yeah, Adi was ordered.
I know, but I mean, when Adi would see Assam, I'm sure he'd walk away from him.
Yeah.
So
Talk to
Assam
him,
must be
or
aware of
even
this.
look. Yes.
Because it would be awkward to live in this house.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were, because Adi was also ordered to keep aloof. I don't know if Asar knew about it. Order number 4 was particularly difficult for the Muslim and Zoroastrian disciples since meat was a staple of their diet. The Hindus were traditionally vegetarian.
Oh, look at this picture.
And there's a photograph of
Oh,
Baba, a very young Baba sitting on the floor with Gustaji.
It's a great picture. I mean, this is. I'd love to have
That's
this.
the mandali?
Yeah, that's the Manzali
Mandali,
group.
no.
The man-
Manzali Imim.
Group Meher Baba with his first disciples of Kasba Pet in Pune between 1918 and 1920.
Kazna.
There's Baba, look at
Many
here.
of whom were at
Yeah.
Manzile Meme in Bombay.
Yeah, the rest. But I love
Very
that.
cute.
Look at the young looking.
Look at this one.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
this one.
very young.
And
Looking, yeah.
Gustaji, who sat next to him. Gustaji had spent time with Sai Baba and Upasni Maharaj, just like Baba did, and he was assigned by them to follow Baba.
Look at this little fellow here.
Ah,
That's probably
Who's that?
little boy. Yeah. 12-year-old.
He looks, but he doesn't look that old. I mean, that young.
Young, you're
He
right.
looks. He's minute.
He
He's
was
minute.
19 or
He's
18.
small, but
Ah.
he is. His face doesn't
Who
look.
is that?
It's a very interesting looking fellow.
One of this 19. Or
Was
18.
that Bapu?
He's in the first row.
Oh, first.
That's Madho.
Madho.
That's Madho. Well, he looks like a little like elf-like
He's
character.
still there? Madho?
Madho.
Mahatho.
The
Shall I
Madho.
read?
Yes, go ahead.
So,
I thought it was interesting that
Am I understood?
Very good.
it was interesting that it's mentioned that when they're pricking their thumb,
yeah.
that his brother Jal was mentioned. He was one of the. Remember, Baba put the hot coal in his hand and it
Oh,
was
yeah.
burning his flesh and his.
Well, you know what's amazing
That was
about
a-
this little description of this blood freaking and blood coming out.
I just found that this with me.
Oh, did it?
That's lie, yeah.
You see, there's traditions in other parts of the world that we in the West
Until end we
could
together.
misinterpret, but it's sort of a deep, I think a deep rooted. It's a very actually, I think it's a deep commitment to do
To the
something.
Middle
like
East, too.
Yeah, it's a Middle East. It's a very,
Blood oath.
Yeah.
it's a very strong feeling of
Love.
yes,
Yes.
love and commitment to someone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like just my word. You know, it's look.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not even-
Here all lie.
Yeah, we
even a
have that in the
signature.
West too.
We
Blood
did
brothers.
too.
Blood
yeah,
brothers,
it's very deep.
but it was
Among the
always looked
Indians.
upon as being someone that was gang related, though. So.
They used to
Or
cut
gays.
their
Gays.
They used to cut the
never
wrists
saying
and then
our
put it
Indian
together so the
blood
blood
brothers.
flowed together.
Oh, really?
They
Yeah.
used to have weddings that way.
That's right.
Weddings.
That's right.
Weddings.
That's right. American
In
Indians.
American Indians.
Yeah, American Indians.
They
So
would
it's
cut
it's
your
not
wrist
just
of the
gang
man
oriented.
and the woman, and they would put it together and bind it so that that would be the wedding vow.
That is so organic. I mean, it's such a.
So
But you see, a
that's-
lot of this stuff, I'm sure, comes from how do you say, polytheistic religion.
yes.
I'm certain it can be traced in the biology.
I think you're right. Yeah.
It's a
I
blood
know where to
bond.
go find it. That's why.
Really?
Just
Anybody wants to drink? I drink it.
He covers.
Tea?
Like you black. Yeah. I hear you. Wow.
Yeah, really.
Shall I
Yeah, go.
During that week, some of the men were employed in either a government office, a factory, or a private company. After working during the day, they would return to the manzil by 7 in the evening. Kak Sahib and Asar Sahib were assigned the work of compiling and writing the biography of Upasni Maharaj in Urdu, which they did at the manzil. Masaji was in charge of preparing meals for the Muslims, Parsis, and Iranis, while Chowdhury cooked for the Hindus. Gustaji remained Baba's constant companion throughout the day and prepared his tea. Some of the men would do the household work, while the rest labored outside. Masaji would cook such delicious food using pure ghee, butter, and other costly ingredients that the Zoroastrians and Muslims did not miss the meat. Breakfast consisted of as much tea, bread, and butter as one wanted. The Hindus were served tea and an Indian sweet, jalebis,
I know jalebi.
which they relished. For lunch, there would be rice, dal, and a vegetable. And in the afternoon, tea was served, and the evening meal was bread and another vegetable. To break the monotony, different types of lentil, dal combinations and vegetables were cooked each day, so that there was a spicy variety in the vegetarian menu. Occasionally, the men were allowed to take a taxi ride through the city and were also permitted to attend cinemas and plays. The wives and children of the married mandali would be sent a monthly allowance in the form of prasad from Meher Baba. In this manner, those men were kept free of any anxiety about their family's welfare. All facilities and comforts were provided in Manzil-e-Mim. However, life was not all joy. The smallest as well as the most demanding order of Meher Baba had to be explicitly carried out. Smallest as well as the most demanding. Hence, no work was greater than any other. Since each man had signed away his life to the master, no one really had individual freedom. At times, they felt like prisoners confined within the walls of his orders and instructions. Even on their outings, the men did not feel they were enjoying freedom. The master's nazar was on them. One's response to the master's call or order had to be immediate. If someone was shaving and the master happened to call him, he had to run to Baba without even cleaning the soap off his face.
Oh my.
If a person were told to stand at attention, he had to remain standing until Baba told him otherwise. Similarly, if anyone were told to lie down, he had to do it immediately, wherever he was, without going to his room.
Of course, yeah.
Besides the 7 orders that were issued at the outset, each day brought additional orders, further restricting the men's usual habits of sleeping, eating, bathing, and enjoying themselves. No individual had any free time to do what he liked. The least mistake invited hours of trouble, the master's abuse and displeasure. It was a general order that no one should read or write or talk with anyone outside of the manzil. Even the casual reading of a billboard or sign while passing in a train or bus was prohibited.
Why? So they went to work veiled almost, like just go to your job.
They were
Oh, you and me is good for it.
they were being unconditioned from their previous lifestyle.
My, oh my.
Made to function under the direction of the master.
Boy.
At a chance meeting of an old friend, casual conversation was also forbidden. These unusual orders led to many awkward situations for all concerned. One evening back to the manzil from the automobile garage where he was employed, he happened to see an old acquaintance in the train. The man had gone to school with Sarosh, and he greeted him with a happy smile. Sarosh, obeying Baba's order, did not reply.
Oh my.
Like that.
He ignored the man
God.
and even turned his face away, staring out the window.
Oh my God.
The man thought he had been mistaken.
I would have thought the same thing. No one could do
But
that.
after closer observation, he was certain that it was his friend. The man again approached, then exclaimed, "Sarosh, what's the matter with you? Don't you recognize me?" Sarosh felt extremely embarrassed, but kept quiet, hoping the situation would soon pass.
Oh my God. What a situation. I just can picture that.
Yeah. Because they know Baba immediately will know it.
Well, you know what it is, though. This poor chum, our acquaintance, probably was feeling devastated. Because, you know, if you feel rejection, or you feel maybe this man has lost his mind.
Well, they're both devastated.
They're both devastated.
He couldn't
Because I would be
answer.
devastated. My God, don't you care?
Yeah.
Anyway.
The man again approached, exclaiming, "Sarosh, are you mad?
Oh,
Look at me, for God's sake." Still not receiving a reply, the man started weeping out of pity, telling the other passengers that his old friend had gone insane.
Oh my God. And he was a young man, Sarosh.
Can you believe it?
So this guy's seeing him and saying, "What has happened?" Sarosh was an elderly fellow, but here he is, not even 30. Oh my.
Forgetting his friend's distress, Sarosh was now amused, thinking how pleased Baba would be when he heard about this.
Yeah.
At the manzil, Sarosh narrated the whole incident to Baba, who then ordered him to write his friend, inviting him to the manzil.
After ignoring this guy.
The big plan.
Sometime later, the man visited and was quite relieved and happy to know that Sarosh was his normal self. He was permitted to visit on different occasions. Thus, as a result of his friendship with Sarosh, he occasionally had the master's darshan.
Wow.
So you see how
Big picture.
big picture drew this guy.
One night, after conversing with the Mandali, the master ordered all to go to their respective rooms to sleep. All did so except Rustam K. Rani and Faridun, who went outside to the urinal. Baba accosted them. Why did you two break my order? Both men protested that they had not broken his order. Baba insisted, I told all to retire to their rooms and you both went outside. They pleaded, we had to urinate, how could we go to sleep? Baba then explained, you should have first gone to your room, lain on your beds for 5 minutes, and then gone outside. They said they would do so the next time and were pardoned. In demanding obedience in such apparently unimportant matters, the master was creating in each man a firm tendency toward absolute obedience to his orders, whatever they may be. So their intellects would gradually become nil, and their egos give way to following him. During this period, Meher Baba eased the men's complaints with this explanation. If you do not develop the habit of instantaneous obedience to my words, how will you be able to obey me when I decide to give you that which is real? It is for your own spiritual benefit that I order you to do this or that. Remember, when the time comes for the gift to be given, you might miss that too. I am telling you because of that, for that moment is only a split second. If you miss that, then it is finished. That time won't come again. You will not be able to think at that time. You must be prepared to jump when I say jump. This is the reason why I am teaching you to obey me thus. Whenever I call you, drop everything and come. Whatever I tell you to do, do it without question, without thinking. One day Baba told his uncle, Masaji, keep these leftovers from my lunch. If I am hungry later, I may eat them. For some days Masaji obeyed, but Baba did not once call for them. On one occasion, Masaji gave the food to Adi K. Rani. The master, who had been upstairs in his room, suddenly came down to the kitchen and told him, I am hungry, bring the leftovers.
Oh no.
Masaji was taken aback and could not say a word. Baba inquired, what is the matter? Didn't you hear me? Bring the food to my room. Masaji hesitatingly replied, every day I saved your lunch, but you never ate it. Baba insisted, but today I want it. Where is it?
Oh my God, what would give me embarrassing?
Masaji confessed giving it to Adi, and Baba castigated him for an hour, his own uncle.
What is castigating?
Berating,
Oh,
warning him to always follow his orders literally and not to try to use his mind in obeying him. Don't interpret. Do this and you do it.
I tell you, if you get those
That's
orders,
obedience.
you know, it's amazing. It sounds difficult, but actually it's simple if you obey Baba literally. In other words, but you know, your peers, your other Mandali members, I'm sure they could say, oh, give me the food. And you have to say, no. Baba's orders. The food's going to waste.
Just like before they
before
walked.
they wasted.
Just
You
like
see, you can't use the mind.
You don't know,
Baba said, just like when they walked, before the walk, they
Yeah,
went
right
and
away,
had
yeah.
Adi ate before.
Right.
Saying, is it okay if I eat because I'm hungry and gone? He said, fine. Then when Baba questioned them, Adi admitted that he ate
And a slap on his face.
But Ghani denied it, so Baba slept Adi
Adis.
instead of Ghani, who was a school child. And so these are lessons that he was imparting of discipline and obedience to a master. Most masters require that kind of discipline if you're going to stay with them.
You say in Iran, if we talk to the door, the window has to hear.
Upasni Maharaj used to...
We say to the door, and window has to hear.
Oh, it's in Iran. She said they have a saying, what is it?
If you say something to the door...
To the door, but door is not your things. But window has to listen, hear that. That window did bad stuff. That door, but you slam at the door, window has to be careful. Yeah.
Well, even Upasni Maharaj used to beat Mayor Baba when he was his disciple.
Yeah? Wow.
You didn't know that? It was in the first book.
Yeah, you did. Remember, you used probably.
I think we read that,
But you see, the thing about this is, though, you can see where he's readying these disciples, his close monument, for a life of tremendous obedience and discipline, and that it had to become just a way of life. It couldn't be something, well, oh, what did he say? Should I do it? Should I think about it? Like most people in our contemporary Western society would totally rebel against any kind of direction like this because, well, first of all, they don't know who's the director.
Yes, but Baba was not an ordinary person at that time, and they were drawn to him by his persona and the light. So if they were drawn to him and they decided they were going to, before they signed that letter of agreement, they would follow him to the end of their lives, and also the 7 orders. There wasn't something that was like frivolous.
During this period, Meher Baba visited the house of the jeweler Kai Karushu Masa with Gustaji. Masa was absent, but his wife and daughter, along with Aunt Motibai, were having lunch. Without knocking, Baba entered their house and went promptly into their kitchen, leaving Gustaji behind. The master was dressed in his usual attire, a long white shirt and an Irani kerchief around his head. Seeing this stranger burst in upon them, the aunt exclaimed, "Who is this madman?" Suna and Khorshid immediately recognized Meher Baba, whom they had met in Sikori last May. They both received him with great reverence, while Motibai felt quite ashamed. Baba informed them that he was now residing in the city and said, "Tell Masa to come and see me at the manzil each evening after leaving his shop. Khorshid too should visit me daily before going to school in the morning. Suna, you may come to me at any time during the day." Baba then departed, leaving them excited at the prospect of seeing him every day. Khorshid began stopping at Manzil-e-Imim each day on her way to school. Sometime later, her cousins Paroja and Dali, or Gulmai Kearani's daughters, came to Bombay to study, and all 3 girls would visit Baba each morning. So Baba was having these girls starting to visit Manzil-e-Imim. He would ask them what they were learning in school, and they would openly reply. Occasionally he would play a particular game with them. The girls would stand together in front of him with their hands on both ears, and Baba would pretend to throw a ball at one of them. If, in her eagerness to catch it, one let go of her ears, she was out. Likewise, if Baba actually threw the ball and it struck her before she was able to catch it, she was declared out. So it was like faking, Baba became an animated playmate for these teenage girls. It was such innocent fun that all 3 wished to stay at the manzil the whole day and skip school. But Baba would tell them that it was time to go, to hurry up, or they would be late. And they would reluctantly leave. While at Manzil-e-Imim, the master would seldom allow outsiders to meet him. However, on July 2nd, a devout Muslim gentleman, Professor Sayani, was introduced to Meher Baba. In the course of conversation, Baba suddenly interjected, "These days I put on a Turkish fez cap whenever I go out." Turning to the men, he said, "Isn't that so?" Although the men replied in the affirmative, no one could grasp why the master suddenly made such a statement, for the fact was Baba rarely wore a fez. During this period, he almost never wore a hat, but always wrapped a scarf or kerchief around his head. In fact, here's a picture on the next page, Meher Baba wearing a Turkish fez during 22.
Oh, yeah.
1922. When Professor Sayani came out of Baba's room, he told the men, Meher Baba answered my question without my asking it. The men inquired what he meant, and he explained. My brother had been sitting beside the tomb of Maulana Sahib in Bandra for the last 20 years. Today he instructed me to go and meet Meher Baba and ascertain what sort of hat he wears. But when I came, I found the master bareheaded. I was puzzled and embarrassed as to how to ask him. But he settled my mind by answering the question before I could pose it. Dr. Ghani had been advised to sweep his dispensary himself for 6 months, assuring that he would have a successful medical practice. Ghani acted accordingly, but instead of business prospering, there was a more financial loss. One day Baba asked him, if I permitted you to live in the manzil, would you be able to return here by 7 o'clock every evening after your dispensary closes? Ghani replied that it was not possible. Baba then said, according to the manzil's rules, you must return by 7 o'clock. It is better if you now dispose of your dispensary altogether and live with me. Dr. Ghani agreed, and on July 12th he closed his dispensary. This is what Meher Baba had meant by success, but it was not the kind of prosperity Ghani had originally envisioned. A few months later, the dispensary's turnover improved in the hands of the new doctor who took over. It was well known among the men that in his youth the master was an accomplished poet and loved to quote the poetry of Hafiz. On July 19th, Baba requested a few of the men to start composing poetry and encouraged them in their efforts. He told them to try with all their hearts without caring if their poems were polished. They would write something when they could find time during the day, and in the evening it was a good pastime for those concerned, and all enjoyed it. Asar wrote one couplet. One is hiding in the manzil. If my veil is removed, I will assert it as God. Ghazal. O Meher, your love has made us forget everything, although we remember your stories and discourses. I have pledged myself to obey you, but you alone know what doubts plague my heart. You had promised us God realization. We cannot describe how we have carved that promise in our hearts. We have never heard or dreamt of the pain and suffering that has overpowered us, or the secrets that have been revealed to us. May you too now determine to start for Medina. What dissimilar types of caravans are making their way there? O Meher, the suffering Ghani is passing through in your name, and because of your friendship is indescribable. Wow. That is so beautiful. Take over. Wisdom. Is it almost 10 already?
9.
Almost 9 o'clock?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we usually go to 9:30, so we still have time. So, go ahead. Or 9:15. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Oh, yeah, it's good to see you.
Yeah. Yeah, you give just a little touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Those
really
colors, that was
very, very special.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I think we're ready. Rustam how do you pronounce that?
Jafarabadi.
Jafarabadi. That's what I was going to say. I just wanted to make sure poetic spirit was roused when he heard about the new pastime of writing ghazals. He wished to try his hand at it, convinced his compositions would transcend the Persian poets Sadi and Hafiz. When he began writing, Baba would assemble all the men to hear his verses. Although they were awful, Baba praised his efforts to the heavens and encouraged him to write more. Jafar Badi was, therefore, under the impression that he was becoming an accomplished poet. On the evening of July 27th, while he was returning in a train to the manzil from his job, His mind was so engrossed in his newest composition that his intoxication carried him several stations beyond his destination. Excuse me. When Baba found out about it, he gathered the men and advised Jafar Badi, continue writing poems in your spare time, but for God's sake, don't do it on your job or in the train. Baba then told the other men, Jafar Badi is about to become a famous poet. A suitable nom de plume should be found. Many pen names were suggested, but Dr. Ghani's was approved. Ghani said, Baidal was a well-known Persian poet, Bidal, but since Jafar Badi's couplets are far superior to his, we should call him Baidul. All like the name, which means marble in Persian, and Baba instructed that henceforth Jafar Badi should be known as Aga Baidul. Aga Baidul, the great Baidul. Baidul then earnestly requested of Baba, when I start writing poetry, the onrush of thoughts is so great that I cannot cope with it. So I pray to you to instruct someone to write down what comes from my lips at that very instant. Otherwise, it will be lost forever. Since Dr. Ghani had thought up his new name, Baba appointed him as Baidul's secretary with instructions that whenever Baidul felt inspired, Ghani should immediately write down his poetic inspirations. On one occasion, Ghani was in the toilet room, and Baidul went there and started knocking on the door. Ghani, come out immediately. The muse is inspiring me. If you don't come out soon, I will not be able to recover all these wonderful lines. He was so insistent, Ghani had spontaneous creation. Ghani related this incident to Baba, who was very much amused. We all are. Aspandiyar Rustam Orani was very devoted to his elder cousin Merwan, and as a youth had inner experiences of him as Zarathustra. He was the son of Merwan's maternal aunt Faroja. After her death in 1917, he had moved to Quetta in northern India, where he was working in a restaurant owned by Gomai K. Irani's nephew, Ruzi Janagir. His father, Masaji, was staying with the master at Manzil-e-Min, and his sister, Naja, had been sent by Baba to also stay in Quetta. When Naja arrived in Quetta, she informed her brother about Meher Baba's recent relocation from Pune to Bombay, and Aspandiyar became anxious to join his cousin there. But to go to Bombay, abandoning his commitments and responsibilities in Quetta, was not yet possible. Fortunately, Aspandiyar soon after had to travel to Bombay with a servant cook named Miya Khan to make purchases for the Quetta shop. Naja secretly wrote to Baba requesting him to keep Aspandiyar with him, as she did not like her brother staying in Quetta, where he was about to open a new business and might fall into bad company. Before leaving, she had told Miya Khan, take Aspandiyar, but don't bring him back.
Hindu?
Don't call me, I call
Pendu
you.
is Aspandiyar. That's right. Pendu is Aspandiyar, and Faradun is Padri.
Oh, this is Hindu.
Oh, somebody just
look like
turned around.
himself. Okay. That was Hindu when he's young, that picture.
Oh, Aspandiyar?
Oh, that's what, he's not just brother. Okay. In Bombay, at Sarosh K. Irani's sister's house, Aspandiyar found out where Baba was staying. But Sarosh's sister warned him that they would not allow him inside. However, Aspandiyar was determined and went to see Baba anyway. His father, Masaji, was on guard outside. The rules were not to speak with anyone unless ordered to by Baba. Even upon seeing his son, Masaji refused to speak with